Solving and graphing one-step inequalities. Where did that Spanish go? Solving and graphing one-step inequalities. The graphs didn't translate, but you can follow along. La primera parte. Entonces, bullet, yeah. Si tienes preguntas, pregúntame. Solving and graphing one-step inequalities. Vocabulary to know. An inequality. So, if we had a situation where this class was able to, you guys had a much easier test on Tuesday compared to 4th period and 7th period, which are my other pre-algebra sections. Would that be fair? No, it wouldn't, because it's the same class. It would be an inequality. It wouldn't be equal. It's not fair, right? Because when something isn't fair, when people complain that something isn't fair, they're saying, in their opinion, that there should be equality that when things aren't fair. Okay? And that would be fair if you guys had an easier test. So an inequality is not equal. Like invisible is the opposite of visible. Right? Yeah. Invisible. Transparent isn't necessarily invisible. Invisible is like if there were somebody standing right here, but you can't see them because they're invisible. Okay? Transparent, so yeah, translucent, transparent, invisible. So it's invisible is the opposite of visible. Inequality is the opposite of equal. And then there's inverse operations. Inverse operations, we've been dealing with that. This is the 4th week we've been doing that. We had inverse operations of addition is what? The inverse of addition, subtraction, beautiful. So that goes both ways. The inverse of subtraction is addition. Then we have the inverse of multiplication, which is division. Okay, and the inverse of division is multiplication. Okay, and the inverse of being allowed to chew gum in class would be not being allowed to chew gum in class. So, the inequality symbols. Just to remind you, you guys have had this in you guys have had this a lot. This first one here is less than. Ew. This first one here is less than. The next one is greater than. The next one is something new, possibly less than or equal to, and this one is greater than or equal to, and this equal sign with a no through it means not equal. Okay? Not equal. Now, in the past, you've heard that possibly the alligator eats the bigger number because it's hungry. Okay? When we're dealing with algebra, we have a variable there, which means that we have to. Are you following me? Good. That means that we have to not look at it as a number, but a variable. So I don't want you to think of the alligator eating the bigger number. I want you to look at it as being. It is pointing at the smaller number because we're going to be going on both sides because we look at it as being see how the inequality symbol is pointing at the 4? Okay, imagine it being like a line here. That arrow is pointing at the 4. Okay. Come on. You solve inequalities the same way you solve equations. Just because it is a symbol like this instead of a symbol like this, don't let that throw you off. It could. Last period, there were some people it just didn't make sense yet, but it's just because this is new. But don't let the symbol throw you off. The inequality just takes the place of the equality. You use inverse operations, we talked about that, and you show your work the same way. You show your work the same way. There are only 2 differences. One of them, most of the time you will drop down the inequality sign that's in the problem instead of dropping down the equal sign. To what are we referring? We dropped down the equal sign Here's where it started. There's the equal sign, there's the equal sign, there's the equal sign, there's the equal sign. See how we dropped those down? Okay? We're going to be dropping down, rather than the equal sign, we're going to be dropping down the inequality. And here's a big point that I want you guys to highlight. And by highlight, I mean you're going to circle it in some way, shape, or form. But you don't have to get out a highlighter. I just want you to circle it with your pencil or whatever. It says, when you multiply or divide each side by a negative number, you must reverse the inequality sign. When you multiply or divide each side by a negative number, you must reverse the inequality symbol. So that means that if it was greater than, it now becomes less than. If it was less than or equal to, it now becomes greater than or equal to. Examples. Y is greater than, let's try that again. 45 is greater than y minus 14. Now, if I were going back in time, all the way back to Tuesday, and I were looking at it like this, you could do that no problem, right? Right? Okay? So this is very, very similar to it. You have to ask yourself, the first thing that you ask yourself is, what is happening to the variable? The variable wants to be alone. It's very asocial. All right? It wants to be alone. It just wants to play single-player games like Fallout. Okay? And I have the inverse. The inverse of minus 4 is going to be adding 4. So I do plus 14. Sorry, I said 4. I meant 14. I misspoke. Plus 14 to both sides, because that's what we did when we were solving for equalities. I'm going to drop down the inequality. So write this down as I write down. I'm going to drop down the inequality. So I have 45 plus 14 is 59. And now I just have y by itself over here. Now, if I have y first, it's going to come in handy for a trick that I want to show you later. You see how the arrow is still pointing at the y? This is the same thing as this. Because 59 is greater than y is the same thing as saying y is less than 59. For example, Weber, you are younger than me, right? Yes, you have to think about that for a second. Yeah, you are. Would it be the same thing to say that if you are younger than me, I am older than you? Okay? So that's the same situation as saying y is greater than, or y is less than 59 is the same thing as 59 is greater than y. I like to put the variable in the front for consistency reasons and also for a trick that I'm going to show you in a couple minutes. Next one. 7p is less than or equal to, that's what that means, less than or equal to. So it's like a combination of the less than symbol and the equal sign. Okay, what happened is this guy goes, oh, okay, I'm coming over here, take that guy away. See how it has the bottom part of the equal sign? That's how you know it's less than or equal to. So 7p is less than or equal to negative 49. 7 is being multiplied by p. So I have to divide 7, because that's the inverse of multiplication that we learned 4 weeks ago. I have to do it by both sides. So it just brings p here. Now, do I have to flip that sign? I just divided something. And I remember in our notes we highlighted, let's see, let's go back in time. Huey Lewis. Let's go back in time. When you multiply or divide each side by a negative number, you must reverse the inequality symbol. Did I just multiply or divide by a negative number? No, it's not negative, so I'm fine. See how I just went back in my notes to verify I'm doing something right?
Oh, that's so cool.
Right?
Now back to the future.
Okay, now back to the present. Yes, sir? Yes, where's your notes? Where'd your notes go? You've been... Go ahead. Here. All right. So P is... do you have a question? Yes, sir. Oh, yes, they can. Yep, good question. P is less than or equal to, I have left over a negative 7. P is less than or equal to negative 7. Because negative 49 divided by a positive 7 is negative 7. Three. X plus 14 is less than negative 10. What's happening to the variable? It's being added. 14 is being added to it. So to make that go away, I do the inverse, which is negative, or I have to subtract 14 minus 14. X is less than negative 24. X is less than negative 24. So similar to the test we took Tuesday. Also, I think I should submit something. I wouldn't mind going to school for another month or so if we had every third Wednesday off. Wouldn't that be nice? So I'm going to rewrite this so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to just rewrite this. C over 2. Now, what's happening to this is C is being divided by 2. And the inverse of division would be multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So this side here, this is not a negative 2, so my symbol stays the same. And negative 48 times 2 is negative 96. But as I told you, I like to have my variable in front. So I'm going to do it like this, but I'm going to have the other one circled because that also is correct. Those are the same exact things. So that's how it's done. Now we're going to talk about graphing. Graphing these inequalities. When you graph an inequality, it shows you how many things fit to make it true. Okay? How many things fit to make it true, and I'll put some real life examples in here just describing, so it'll make a little bit more sense to you. Graphing inequalities. There are two parts to a graph of an inequality solution. The point, 1057. A closed point means the solution is equal to that number. An open point means the solution is not equal to that number. An arrow, and the arrow, also another show. An arrow to the left means the solutions are less than, I want you to underline less than. An arrow to the right means the solutions are greater than the number. Below are a couple examples. This is the graph for the solution k is greater than or equal to negative 5. Or negative 5 is less than or equal to k. So I notice that it is less than greater than or equal to. So that's why it is a closed-in circle, because negative 5 is part of it. Negative 5 is part of it. And then it goes greater than, this direction. Okay? It goes that direction. The next one that we have is the graph of the solution D is less than 6. Now, it does not include 6. That's an open circle. That's an open circle. Now, for those of you that have a little bit rougher handwriting, if I do not see some of the background color of the paper that you take your test or your quiz, if I don't see some white or whatever color it is back there, it's wrong. Okay? If you're not good at drawing circles and you can only draw like this flame right here thing, okay? If you can't draw a circle, you would better have some white in the middle there. And then you go from there. All right? Now, I want to show you why I like the variable to be on the left side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what I did over here. And I'm going to do the outline of the edge of my arrow. And I'm going to take this arrow and I'm going to bring it over here, and look what happens. See how that's a less than symbol? Right here? When the variable's in front, that means that I can figure out which direction my arrow is going because it's going to be the same direction as my inequality. This one here, the variable's in the front. That's the angle of the less than. And look, here's the end of my arrow. See that? That's why I really like the variable to be in front. Because when you look at this guy, it's not as obvious as to where it's going to go. But if you pick a point on your line, you'll know if you went the right direction. So let's say on this one here, let's say we went this way accidentally. Okay? We did the question wrong, and we went that way. But we don't know we did it wrong yet. So what I would do is I would insert any of the values on that line. So I'll use -7 right here. So -7. Is -7 greater than or equal to -5? No, it is not. So I know that I did this one wrong. I need to go this direction. Okay? Checking your answer is so much easier with inequalities than it is for equalities. Especially when you have a graph of it. In class examples, write the solution that's graphed. This should be going through all the way, by the way. That should go like that. Write the solution that's graphed. I see that I have a filled-in circle. I have a filled-in circle, and my arrow points that direction, which means that that is going to go infinitely in the negatives. Okay? It goes on forever to the negative down that number line. So I have a variable that I'm going to choose is going to be what, Alex? L. Okay. L, and what is my inequality symbol? I have a choice between greater than, less than, greater than equal to, or less than equal to.
Can the variable be any?
Yep. In this situation, these two, it can be whatever you want it to be. Just like your future, you can be anything you want to be. Yes.
Like I said, the answer is
Less than, yes. And how did you know it was less than?
because the arrow.
Yeah. Because of the arrow. Because of the arrow, you look at it. You look at it, and you see that the arrow ends in a less than symbol. Then you need you to think about this. Is it a circle, or is it a filled-in circle at the dot? Yes. Filled-in circle. So I need a line underneath that less than symbol because it includes that as well. And where is my dot? Where is my dot? Sean? Where is my dot? What number is it on? You're on the wrong one. We're on number 1.
1.
It's at 1. It's at 1. Okay? It's on the 1. So L is less than or equal to 1. Correct. I want you to do number 2, please. I'm going to put the answer. I'll put the answer up in just a moment. Try number 2. Can you please use pencil? Pencil, pencil, pencil. It is a requirement for this class to have a pencil. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what you should have. Whatever variable you used greater than -8. Or you could have even done this. Okay, they're both the same thing. Okay. Graph the solution on the number line. We're going to, well, the first one, there's nothing to solve. It's already there for us. We see k is less than 9, so I'm going to go to 9. I'm going to circle that, and I'm going to double check to see if I need to color it in or not. Do I need to color it in? No. No, I don't. Then I have this symbol here. I'm going to rewrite it so I can really see what direction my arrow is going. What direction is my arrow going? Because I got the variable in the front. Yes, it's going this way. That one's done. That is correct. Now I have h is greater than or equal to -2. First thing I'm going to do is whenever I have it looking like that, I'm going to find -2, and I'm going to circle it. Okay? And I have to double check to see if I color it in. It has the bottom part of an equal sign in it, so that means, okay, -2 also counts. -2 also counts. Soft tacos. My variable is in front, so that means I can follow my trick with the, whatever the symbol looks like, that's going to be the end of this arrow. So I'm going to go this way, this way, this way. Yes? Good question. Good question. Let's see. If you wanted to do the one in blue, or if you went like this to the one in green. Okay? Same thing. Because that arrow pointing that way means it goes on infinitely that direction. But I don't want you to do something like, don't want to do that. I do not want to see something like this. No. Okay. You don't want to see that. All right. Could you all do those number 5 and 6, please? Take a moment to do that one to make sure that if you don't do it right when I do it, see if you have any questions that arise. So for those of you that just joined us again, rather than just writing aimlessly, right now you are doing number 5 and number 6. You are doing number 5 and number 6. And it's okay, it's okay if you do it wrong. We're just learning. Color pencil. Oops. That's what you should have. Get choked up there, guys. I'm sorry. I just love the graph. Question, sir? Nope. Because this and this is the same thing. Negative 3 is less than m, compared to m is greater than negative 3, is like saying my age is older than yours, and your age is younger than mine. Both saying the same thing, just in a different order. Okay? Just in a different order. Just in a different order. That's why I like to put the variable first. And a way to keep yourself from making a mistake when you switch things around, look how the arrow is pointing at the negative 3. The arrow is pointing at the negative 3 for the first one. For number 5. And see how when I switched it, the arrow is still pointing at the negative 3. It's pointing at negative 3. Still pointing at negative 3. And did I talk about this yet? In English, we read left to right. Did I talk about that yet? No? Okay, so our eyes are looking left to right. And when you see this symbol, do you see the big part first or the small part first? You see the big part first, because see how big this is here? Okay, so big, great. Greater. That's a greater than. When our eyes are looking from left to right and we see this, we see just this little bit right here. Or to put it in perspective, literally, we're looking here, we're looking here, we're looking here. We see a symbol right here. Is that a small little bit? Small is less than. And that is a less than symbol. Whereas when I'm looking left, reading, here's a big piece right here, so I know that that's going to be big, big, greater. Greater than. Okay? Not necessarily thinking of the elementary school alligator eats the bigger number. Just recognize the sign. Because if you think of alligator eating the bigger number, that could help you with this, but just always remember when you're switching it around, it's going to be pointing at the smaller number. Solve and graph. This is just like the homework that you guys are going to be doing tonight. We have negative 20 is greater than or equal to t minus 12 seconds. Negative 20 is greater than or equal to t minus 12. You have to ask yourself, just like we've done for the last 4 weeks, what is happening to the variable? Yes, Chase.
12 is being taken away from it.
12 is being taken away from it, so we have to do the inverse. So what's the inverse of subtraction? Addition. 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 So I'm going to add what was being taken away, plus 12, negative 8 is greater than or equal to t. And I like to have the variable first, so I'm going to make this be t is less than or equal to 8. Nope. You don't have to add that second part down. If you don't want to use my trick as far as the end of the arrow goes, then you don't have to write that second one down, because it's the same answer. Same answer. And we'll graph it in a minute, but I want to get these done first. Now you have to ask yourself, what is happening to the variable on this one? Ramneet, what's happening? Number 8. It's being multiplied by a number. What is it being multiplied by? Not just 10, negative 10. So in order to get negative 10 to go away, I'm going to divide by negative 10. Something's going to happen here. What did we just do? You highlighted it on the front side of the page. What happened? Yeah, kind of.
You have to reverse it.
Good. You have to reverse the inequality symbol. So what's the reverse of less than? Greater than. So I'm going to rewrite it as being greater than. So I just have y left over here, and I have a negative 3 over here. I'm going to rewrite it for when I graph. Okay. Now let's graph those. So we have t is less than or equal to negative 8. So I'm going to First off, I'm going to circle that -8, and I look at my inequality symbol again, and that is also including the -8, so I'm going to fill that circle in. And I have it so the variable's to the left, so I'm going to put a less than or equal to sign right here, and I'm just going to color that in. Oops, or erase it accidentally. Good. Next one. -3 is greater than y. So I'm going to go to -3. And I rewrote it right here so I know which side my arrow ends. So it is not colored in because it is not less than or equal to. And there's my arrow. Now, I wanted to remind you what that means. It means that when y is less than or equal to 3, if I were to put any number, decimal, fraction, that is on that line, for example, -5, it will be true. It will be true when I put -5 in here, and this will be true. For example, I'm going to substitute -5 in there. 30 is less than -10 times -5. So here's my -5. Okay, I'm testing out that spot. Okay. So I have 30 is less than 50. Do you agree that 30 is less than 50? Yeah. Okay, so that means we did it right. We went the right direction. Now let's say that we made our line go the wrong way. Oh boy. Let's say we made it go the wrong way. So I have, is 30 less than -30? No, it is not. So that means that I went the wrong way when I said that when I tried to substitute that in there. So that's how you check your answers. What I would like you to do at this point is I would like you to do number 9 and 10 as I pass out the homework. And those of you listening at home, I would like you to have a wonderful day.